think the times in which we live, many people are recognising as quite possibly a significant transition in human history as we move from one major historical era to another. And that throws up a whole lot of new challenges. That means that some of the thinking we've used in the past isn't going to be sufficient to deal with these challenges. And ontological coaching is a new way of thinking, a new way of learning that I think offers enormous possibilities for people to help them navigate the challenges they face in their life that are influenced by this background historical transition. I originally came out of a background in education. I worked with teenage students for many years, and a big part of that was working with students that were supposed to have learning and behavioural difficulties, but they were actually very smart. And the school system, I don't think, did a very good job catering to how their brains worked. And I got very interested in ways of how you could communicate with these students to facilitate their learning. And that really piqued my interest in the relationship between different approaches to learning and different approaches to communication. So I studied a whole lot of different areas, and they were very useful. And when I came across ontology, what struck me is how it was such a significant leap forward to other things I'd investigated. And the depth of the material and the substance and the richness that it offered people was something that fascinated me. And when I decided to leave teaching and start up my own business, I realised that the work I'm doing now is still the same. I'm really interested in helping people learn and change and the role of communication in that. Ontological coaching is a particular approach to understanding what's at the heart of how people function and learn and change. And the way that it approaches it is to recognise that learning and change doesn't just happen conceptually through language, that an integral part of how we function is also emotions and our body, the dynamics of our posture and how we are in our emotions and how we manage ourselves emotionally. And these three areas of language, emotions and body excuse me, make up how we are as a person. They shape how we perceive the world and our behaviour. And if we're going to help people make significant change, then we've got to address all three areas. And most approaches to change, I think they don't do that. They might focus on one or perhaps two. And ontological coaching is the only approach I've come across that explicitly recognises not just the importance of each area, but the importance of the integration of each of these areas, and that all three need to change if someone is to engage in what we might call sustainable or deep change. It differs from many approaches to coaching because while it focuses on changing behaviour, it goes deeper than that. As we see it, most approaches to change focus on helping people develop new ways of behaving, new forms of communication, and to learn that through skills and strategies. Ontological coaching is particularly interested in whether what's happening in people's perceptions and attitudes is going to allow them to use new skills and strategies. And if we don't address what are often deep-seated perceptions and attitudes, most of which can be out of awareness, then we're going to miss opportunities to help people to change. And so from the ontological perspective, we see that people's way of being, how they're functioning in language, emotions and body, is where their perceptions and attitude live. And this is how we can respectfully work with them to help them discover ways that they can open themselves up, expand their way of being, and find new ways of behaving and communicating that are going to be more beneficial for them and those that they deal with. If I could be so bold as to say, maybe another question is, who wouldn't benefit from it? because anyone who wants support to move forward in some area of their life can benefit from ontological coaching. This can range from senior executives in organisations through to operational people that are working in different areas of organisations, middle managers, senior managers, home life, parents, teachers in schools, social workers. Anyone that's involved in supporting other people can benefit from this. And one of my colleagues in Australia has recently started working with performance artists, actors and musicians to support them in bringing out the most of themselves to enhance their performances. So it's a very versatile approach to coaching. It's relevant in a number of ways. It's a personal change methodology, and that of course can help executives and managers change how they're perceiving and behaving. So that's one-on-one executive coaching. It's very applicable. Ontological coaching is also a methodology for leadership improvement, because the only place that leaders can lead from is their way of being. And if people aren't aware of what's happening in their way of being, it can compromise the quality of their leadership. And an important part of being a leader, of course, is to be influential. And sometimes what can be happening in people's quite deep-seated perceptions and attitudes is it's continually compromising the effectiveness of their communication and behaviour and their influencing. And finally, ontology is a business improvement methodology in itself, because it takes a particular approach to looking at what is a core business process that most people are not aware of. And by not being aware of this core business process, people are missing out on significant opportunities to eliminate waste and improve efficiency and productivity in organisations. And the way ontology looks at how a business functions, it can only function through conversations and relationships between people. Often people might say, oh, people are our most valuable resource and the organisation runs through people. We agree with that, but we go a bit further and say it's not the people, it's the interaction between the people that make the organisation function. And how much attention do we pay to the quality of that interaction? Mainly we only pay attention to that when something goes wrong, and then it's very, very costly. So the ontological approach gives people a very solid methodology for what to pay attention to in how they're conversing and relating and interacting with others, so they can self-monitor and self-adjust the quality of their conversations. And when you boil it all down, the quality of conversations has a major bearing on what business outcomes are achieved. And so this is what makes this, I think, quite a powerful business process. And when people start to realise that ineffective conversations continually produce a waste of people's time and effort and energy and direct their thoughts into areas that aren't productive, potentially stifle creativity and innovative thinking. So this is the essence of this approach, a very rigorous, precise approach that gives people a very detailed set of tools as to how to pay attention to the way they're engaging in conversations and to self-improve as they use these tools. Coachees can bring whatever is important to them that they would like to make progress on in their life. These may be current problems or issues that they're feeling stuck on, or maybe they are thinking about developing a new direction in life, and an ontological coach can help them explore that direction and how they're going to position themselves to take advantage of that. Or even people that have had some good fortune in their life and they'd like to know how they could adjust to that good fortune and maximise the chance of it working for them and eventually not becoming a difficulty or a problem. So again, there's a range of things that coaches can benefit people with. It's a combination of a number of things. It's a combination of introducing people to the basic areas of knowledge that form ontological coaching, lots of experiential application of that knowledge so that people can relate it directly to themselves in their personal and professional life and begin to apply it in coaching. We do a lot of work around having people be aware of the ways that they use their bodies and how that can be applied in coaching. And we do quite a bit of coaching practice. And in the final day, people get a very detailed set of questions based on what's been covered in the workshop as an important reference point for them to use in quite extensive coaching conversations.